Hello everyone, hello everyone, and welcome to this audio podcast. This audio podcast synopsis, as part of this audio podcast synopsis, as part of the shitstorm chapter. This audio podcast is part of the shitstorm motley. This audio podcast is part of analysis and expose and lobostics. This audio podcast is part of the jump off and segment V2, and this audio podcast synopsis is part of a storm lobostics production. Through this audio podcast, or through this audio podcast synopsis and this chapter, is sort of a sort of in line to sort of works from 2020, and that had formed the audio podcast, the chapter, and as part of the Geronimo, in as part of the first as part of the first part of this the shitstorm chapter. However, this synopsis will look at sort of works or research works or collaborative works that took place sort of in around 2019, so sort of a year before, and this audio podcast looks at it works in around collaborative works in around looking at data for medicines optimization and best practice. The collaborative works was between two academic institutions at the time, and also an industry an industry partner, a tech industry partner, or collaborative, at this during that time. For the purpose of this audio podcast and synopsis and this chapter generally, there will not be a sort of a reference in a line to the naming or the referring of the sort of the products or tech products, or the sort of tech sort of organization, for the purpose of confidentiality and for the purpose of ensuring that there is no sort of sense of promoting that particular aspect of the that particular aspect of product, tech product, etc. So in around this audio podcast as a chapter, this podcast chapter, and as part of the jump off, and this as part of this audio podcast as part of the shitstorm motley, a look at again data for medicines optimization and best practices. And to begin with, there will be a sort of a look at sort of data sciences, aspects of data science, or data science and data insights into medicine's use in care and nursing homes. And then there'll be within that there'll be a look at sort of the source of data for analysis, the source of data for analysis, and then I look at sort of evidence-based investigations or studies that had been documented as part of a collaboration or collaborative that took place in at that time, and then I look at sort of aspects in around big data for better care homes, or nursing homes, and then I look at ideas, some aspects of ideas, of how and what that tech sort of had included. And then sort of looking at where this audio podcast has a link, or a sort of an interlink, if you will, to the works in around the audio podcast chapter, the shit the audio podcast looking at the ShiZMode chapter and the Geronimo sort of audio podcast chapter or series, is where the in this audio podcast chapter as well, there will be a look at look at polypharmacy and its influence on nephrotoxicity, and looking at aspects in around some aims and objectives, and looking at sort of an introduction and methodology, and sort of some analysis in around some of the data analytics that have formed sort of the basis in around the tech, around the tech, and how the tech at the time is and was sort of implemented or utilized in a way to preclude those in amongst nursing home and care home environs to be to preclude them preclude residents falling into where their drugs would form, where their drugs or medicines administrations would implement sort of the nephrotoxic side effects from the multiple sort of medications that certain residents in amongst the nursing and care homes would be on. And so then there's a look at sort of smarter practice, smarter practices, and then a look at sort of in around the implications in around practice, implications as part of implication in as part of practice, and then I look at sort of some conclusions in around this particular works. The audio podcast, again, this audio podcast chapter and or series will not sort of be sort of a basis for a promotion of particular tech products or tech usage. Just simply a basis of an overview of how a particular tech was utilized or had been utilized in around that in around when this particular collaborative works took place in around 2019. So that draws this audio podcast to a close. This audio podcast synopsis as part of the ShiZMode chapter. This audio podcast as part of the shitstorm motley. This audio podcast as part of the analysis and expose and lobostics. This audio podcast a synopsis as part of the jump off, and this audio podcast as part of the segment and V2 and a storm lobostics production.